Forging the West is the latest documentary from filmmaker Jim Havey. It takes us back to 1872. The focus of this film is centered around the Colorado Fuel and Iron Company. Well, Mr. Havey is here with us to give us a sneak peek and when you can see Forging the West for yourself. Good to see you, Jim.
Thank you. Good to see you,
Congratulations, too.
Oh, you bet.
Your work is absolutely amazing. Why did you decide to pick this topic?
You know, we've been telling the story of Colorado history for about 25 years now, and there's been lots of different areas that we've chosen. But this story of the industrialization of the West is really an important story, and it covers a lot of southern Colorado, an area that a lot of people don't get to.
It's beautiful to watch, too, but it's very educational, like you said. Why is it important to Colorado's history?
This was the first steel mill. The Colorado Fuel and Iron Company was the first steel mill west of the Mississippi River. It took care of products that were needed to build the entire western U.S. Rails for the railroads, barbed wire for fences, nails for buildings, wire for bridges, and it really made a huge difference in the progression of civilization in the West. Not
only important to the West, but this film and what it's about is important to the entire country.
It is important to the country. A lot of the labor practices that were developed through Colorado Fuel and Iron, ways that they took care of employees, ways they didn't take care of employees, were very much at the forefront of the labor movement in the country.
It took you 3 years to make.
Yes.
So how did you and others do research for this film?
You know, we had a tremendous resource, which was the Steelworks Museum of the West archive in Pueblo, and it's a wonderful museum down there, and it's one of the largest private corporate archives in the country, and they have just thousands and thousands of pictures, motion picture film, audio, all kinds of resources that we use. So we have some wonderful motion picture film that people never get a chance to see, that covered some of the early days of the steelmaking process right up to the present.
If you're just tuning in, I'm talking to Jim Havey, and we are really excited. His documentary that took 3 years to make, called Forging the West, is going to premiere soon, November 11th and November 15th. So we want to encourage you to get out, watch, and be educated by this beautiful film. How is mining, how is that portion portrayed in this film?
Well, mining was one of the most dangerous occupations that you could be in, particularly in those days. There were all kinds of mining accidents and all kinds of deaths, and so that is a big part of the story, and that really is where a lot of the problems in the labor relations came from too, was the way that the miners were treated. When there was a mining accident back at the turn of the century, they would ask, how is the mule, not how are the people.
Are you kidding?
No, they could easily replace the people.
Yeah. That's craziness. So I mentioned that it's just right around the corner, November 11th and November 15th. It's going to premiere. How can we see it?
You can go to either Pueblo, to the premiere in Pueblo on the 11th at 6:30. That's this Friday night, or in Denver at the Museum of Nature and Science.
On the 15th?
On the 15th, yes.
Okay. And the proceeds of the film, how is it going to be used?
You know, one of the things that we do, and we've done this with a lot of our films, is the distribution of it. We want to get it out to schools and libraries around the state. In this case, there was a whole committee of teachers that got together, and they wrote a curriculum for this. So it's going to go out to 2,000 different schools and libraries around Colorado with this curriculum.
How do we get tickets?
You can get tickets on the website at forgingthewestfilm.com.
Forgingthewestfilm.com, okay?
Right.
That's how you can get tickets. Again, 2 screenings, 2 premieres, November 11th in Pueblo or November 15th right here in Denver. So make sure you log on to that website. And what were some of the most fascinating things that you learned while filming this film?
You know, probably one of the most fascinating experiences was going through the steel mill today. When people drive through Pueblo, they don't see smoke coming out of the chimneys anymore, but they don't realize that the mill is very much in production, and it's been in production for the whole 140 years of its existence. So they're still making rails. They're the largest rail maker of railroad rails in North America. And they're still making a few other products too, but just the scale and the fire and the heat and what it takes to make steel is just an incredible process.
When you were talking earlier about your research, did you talk to any family members?
Yeah, we did. We talked to quite a few union people, and some family members as well. People who grew up in the era of the 50s and 60s when the mine was when the mill was really at its peak.
Really?
Yeah, there were. 25,000 total in the whole company.
Were they happy that you were making this film, or were they saying, Let's put it to bed.
They were thrilled. We've got a big crowd coming to this premiere in Pueblo. It's at Memorial Hall, wonderful auditorium, and there's so much interest in Pueblo on this because it's their history, but it's also, and as people will see when they see the film, it's Colorado's history.
It's the history of the West, truly, right? It changed the way how we do things.
Absolutely.
Okay, and what other films are you working on now? I mean, you're a busy man. It's like you get one thing done and your mind's constantly going like a train, right?
We do have some projects in development. We're doing a national film called The Power of Place, which is on the historic preservation movement in America. It's kind of a history of the preservation movement and some good forecasts for the future and how people can make sure that we don't get into another urban renewal destruction of historic buildings at some point. So it's an important film, and it's to educate the next generation of preservationists.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on and giving us a sneak peek. Congratulations. I remember talking to you about this last year, and finally we get the premiere.
Yes, yeah, always a pleasure to be here, Denise.
Great to see you, Jim. Okay. All right, Forging the West can be seen in Pueblo this Friday, November 11th at 6:30 p.m., and that's at the Pueblo Memorial Hall. Then in Denver on Tuesday, November 15th at 6:15 p.m. at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. You'll have a chance to meet MC 9 News environmental reporter Maya Rodriguez at the November 15th premiere. Please purchase your tickets right now. Go online, forgingthewestfilm.com.